We are live. Y'all. I'm so paranoid now. Let me make sure my no, I gotta make sure the audio check. All right, we're good. Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode. This is the last one of the regular season. We will do I still will have shows or whatever. I know we have a bowl game after this upcoming game and things like that. There's still gonna be a lot more to talk about. I think a lot of what the offseason, at least signing day and the beginning of the offseason is going to be around the transfer portal, what's UTSA activity going to be at that time. I don't think there's a coincidence as to why there's so much discussion about NIL and coaches leaving and all those types of things, or coaches getting jobs in other places in the conference and those sorts of things. So we'll definitely have more shows for that. But this is the last game preview of the regular season, and we'll get the data when the bowl game will be, and we'll have one definitely for that week as well. But Army, we got Army. Army is an interesting team. I'll go through sort of what they offer and what challenges that UTSA will face against Army this weekend. It's going to be a rough game because they do the things that UTSA tends to not play well against. And that is, lining up in big, heavy formations and basically having to win the battle in the trenches, play in and play out. They are a team that is averaging almost 260 yards on the ground per game. I think the inverse of that from a passing standpoint, they are at the bottom of the league. They're averaging 79 passing yards per game. So just to give you sort of a depiction of what that game's going to look like, it's going to be nasty. UTSA is going to have to bring their big boy pants to this particular game in the Alamo Dome because those guys are going to test them. And they really like to run that quarterback because you get an extra blocker. So they found success with that all year. And I mean, you're seeing that with Navy as well. Navy is doing some of the same things or whatever, and it's been super successful for them. But they are very efficient at it. They can hurt you in a multitude of ways. They have had some success on some play action passes and some things to, get UTSA off balance on some of the third downs. When they get in the third and long situation, they like to spread it out and go doubles on the outside. And they'll run your more traditional routes. The quarterback is an all right thrower of the ball, nothing great. He will put the ball up in coverage if he's under any pressure. So, yeah, I'm not expecting this game to look very clean or anything like that because UTSA is going to have to win a dirty game against Army because it's just a nasty way of playing football. And those guys are going to give UTSA everything they can handle. But on the flip side of that is like their defense, although it's pretty stingy, they have a solid defense. Their defense is I think third best in the league in terms of against the pass, in terms of yards they give up against the pass. They are a little worse, a little middle of the road against the run. So I think that's going to be good for your Will Hendersons. It's going to be good for your Robert Henrys and things like that. So those guys are they should be able to get off against this team. And in terms of keeping points off the board, right, they have the third best defense in the league. Well, only giving up 22 points per game. And that's going to be interesting. UTSA is going to have to really show up and show out. I think the offense is going to have that work cut out for them, trying to get loose on that defense. They're playing a really good defense. And that's just something that UTSA has to be prepared for. I think I hope that we don't see the sort of Jekyll and Hyde thing that we've seen from UTSA in general. I hope what they showed last week against ECU, they bring that UTSA to the to the Alamo Dome, and I'm pretty sure they will. I am done questioning how UTSA will perform in the Alamo Dome. I think they've proven that they are just a different team. I don't know what that's about, but that seems to be what the issue is. But this is a different test. And I hate that this game happens it's the very last game of the season. It's interesting. I have a question for you guys who are here, and make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel while you're at it. But I have a question for you guys. I would love to hear from you in the chat. If UTSA wins, they finish 7-5, which 7-5 in the regular season, which is better than how they finished last season. So technically, that's an improvement. And like, just thinking if they were to win a bowl game, that would be 8 games, 8-5. And that sort of changes the narrative of the season a bit. And I actually think this 7-5 changes the narrative, and it's already changing some of the discourse that I'm seeing online around UTSA. How do you guys feel about the season right now? We've been frustrated all season, all year. And we did not hit the highs that some of us thought that we'd hit. But we aren't also hitting the lows that some of us thought we'd hit based on some of the performances we've seen at this season. How are y'all feeling about UTSA this year, considering where they are now? At worst, from a regular season standpoint, they are as good as they were last year. At best, they are a game better and potentially a couple game, 8-5 if they go. Like, I'm just curious to get a reaction sort of from you guys on like what you feel. For me, it's tricky because I am happy that UTSA found some winning form. I'm happy that UTSA beat a really good East Carolina team. I hope they go in and win in the dome, which they will go in and win in the dome. But I feel the season just feels bittersweet to me because I still feel disappointed based on some of the expectations that we were sort of led to believe coming into this season. And it's weird because how do you stay mad when you're on a 2-3 game win streak going into a bowl game? Yeah, you didn't compete for the conference title, but like, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. It's like one of the biggest things that we've talked about on this show for sure is, does the offensive coordinator go? Does the defensive coordinator go? Who's going to be the fall guy for this year? And if they go 7-5 and then win a bowl game at 8-5, I don't know if we'll have a fall guy. I can see Traylor saying, I'm just going to run it back. And that worries me. That worries me because this buys, in my opinion, one of the offensive coordinator. Y'all know how I feel about him and his play calling. Don't know the guy. I'm sure he's a great guy, but I don't fancy his play calling at all. But I don't imagine, like, I'm getting to the point now to where I'm just looking at the sentiment around the team, even Coach Traylor's perkiness that he's been in the media over the last few. And I'm glad they're happy. Don't get me wrong, or they're in a better place. But I just worry what that means for the offseason. I really, really worry about that. Anyway, I'll start getting to some of your questions and comments here. Mike says, I think UTSA wins big Saturday, but depth on the O-line is worrisome. Well, I mean, we only got 2 more games. We got this game and a bowl game, so that depth ain't gonna mean nothing after these next couple games. But yeah, I think they win. I think they find a way to pull it off. I know it's been our Achilles heel and our kryptonite playing a team like Army. They are very difficult. They're tough. They're physical. They're big. They just play a nasty game of football, and it sucks that UTSA has to play a team like that to end the year. But it is what it is. It's either going to go incredibly well. Yeah, it's either going to go incredibly well, or it's going to just be a pain eyesore to watch. That's what I expect from that game. With coaches within the conference leaving or reportedly leaving, I think it helps UTSA recruiting having the stability at the head coach position. It definitely helps, but it also depends on who those schools replace those coaches with, because you could get a guy that's coming from another school that has really good, a really good reputation from the other school they're coming from. They could, come down. I mean, what could happen is you get one of these coordinators from one of the bigger schools. He says, hey, I'm going to go take a head coaching job at a North Texas or something like that. but I'm going to bring the guys that I recruited at my Power Four school with me to North Texas. That can very well happen, and that could also be a problem, you know. So it depends on who they replace people with. A win Saturday secures the OC and DC job for another season. Ain't nobody getting fired. Yeah, I mean, you're probably right, and that's exactly what I was thinking about before. I think we have some limiting factors surrounding the team. I think here's the thing. I was talking to I talked to quite a few folks. I reached out to a few folks this week just to get a feel for UTSA and what is going on. Like, what's the offseason going to look like? I didn't directly ask if the OC and DC were safe. No, but nobody's going to tell me. And I think the people I talk to aren't going to know that. But they were brought up. And what I've been told from multiple people is UTSA doesn't have the money to do anything, right? They don't really have money to make any, you know, many moves in the way that some folks may want them to. Maybe coaching stuff, staff changes. Yeah, they can make staff changes and things like that, like if they need to. But I think to me, the bigger issue there was the bigger issue was there's and this isn't directly tied into this question, but it's just something that we're talking to people about. But there is a concern around that area, that space, to where UTSA did not make a meaningful leap forward in terms of the money they generated to pay athletes based on compared to last year. So year over year, there was not a meaningful meaningful progress. And I think as we get closer to the portal, it's why now the NIL discussion is starting to come back up again. The revenue share, player pay in general is now going to start grabbing headlines even more than it's already has, because UTSA has no money. There are people with very, very strong opinions on. There are people with very strong opinions on San Antonio as a city and the money that San Antonio has. I wouldn't know this, but there are people who are saying San Antonio is the people in San Antonio do not have money. And that's the reason for a lot of this. I asked, compared it to some smaller schools that are in smaller states, smaller towns, who are able to generate more money than UTSA. I asked questions about those as well to two people, and the reply was essentially the same. They have more established alumni base. They are they are ahead of the game, and they're more creative than where UTSA is. But the sentiment is we are hanging on by a thread to even be competitive when it comes to the NIL. I don't think we are, if I'm being honest. I don't think we're very competitive at all. Like I said, I think I said this before on here, but I don't know if we have a six-figure player on our team. I don't know if we do. I mean, you can. I don't know for those of you who heard Bob Wills talk, but I think he has said, like, we have some guys on, what did he say, like 500 a month, and some guys on 3,000 or 4,000 or something like that. I think, just do the math. That's not a six-figure player, you know? And that is consistent with a lot of what I heard when I was down in San Antonio in the spring. That, I was throwing out numbers thinking that they were like, no, your numbers are a little inflated. Now I didn't go in to see the big board, which I plan on doing that if that invitation and offer is still there. I definitely got an offer or an invitation to go to do the big board and view the big board, but I'm just not in San Antonio enough to make time to do that. But yeah, I mean, there is a lot of questions around where the program is headed if they don't make bigger strides in this category in this area, and it's concerning. It's making it tough on them to recruit the guys on the roster. It's making it tough on them to recruit the guys outside of the roster in the port who are jumping in the portal. Nobody, I mean, at this day and age, a lot of these guys. And listen, to be fair, like not everybody has a lot of money, but you see teams like doing. I mean, North Texas talked about the 4 million that they're going to be adding on a I think revenue share front, right, or something like that. That's coming for them. I mean, Did y'all hear South Florida in 2026 is saying that they are where is this at? Yeah, South Florida in 2026 are going to max out the rev share. That's 20.4 million. UTSA is not going to get close to that, y'all. That's a team that's in our conference. You see what they did this year. They're going to be even better because they're going to have more money to play with. So it's one of those things that is really concerning because I talked. I haven't heard a lot of other people. I don't know. I don't watch a lot of the other shows, but I do talk to folks. I'm curious if anybody else has really shared this publicly on their shows about y'all know how I feel. I think we need better players in some areas. But I do think we could benefit from a roster overhaul in that way and a roster upgrade. But how? How? Whenever I was saying that, there are people who reached out to me and said they don't have money to do that. No matter if you're right or wrong, UTSA does not have the money. I think the more alarming part of that for me is I talk to people who are very close to folks in other programs um, in SEC schools, and I know like they're not a very good barometer to use, right? But even for some of the smaller schools too that are G5, they are just a lot more creative. Like the best practices that they are using to make money, UTSA is not doing any of those things based on what I've been exposed to and based on what we see because we haven't seen them announce any of these deals. We rarely see UTSA announce a big deal in this way, but we see all of this other stuff from all these other teams, right? Just think about that. We see all of these other announcements from these other programs that are getting they're hitting like aggressive targets and milestones that they are trying to hit to pay their players. You don't get that from the runners at all. It's alarming. It's alarming. With Morris at OK State, now maybe we can get him and Trello to schedule that home and away game against each other for the P4 matchup we need in the Dome. Maybe, but why would he? I mean, he's probably Oklahoma State. There's a reason that they are they've been that they were looking for a new head coach. They are 1-10. They don't want to come to the Dome. Like, yeah, it won't happen in the short term. That doesn't bode well for them to come to the Dome. Does Army go off on play action passes like they have in years past? They not as much as they had in years past, but like I don't think they've had a huge game with like multiple play action passes hit. They do try them game in and game out. They have hit some big ones, but for the most part, this is a run heavy Army team. Like I said, they are what is it? They're averaging 79 passing yards a game. So yeah, not doing much. This season summarized as missed opportunity. This season is summarized as missed opportunities. We let a couple games slip away. Yeah, I know, man. If we win at Texas State, that changes the complexion of this season. We win that Temple game, and that's a game we were in control of for a while. That changes the course of the season. If we just took care of business even halfway decent on the road, we'd been a much better team. We probably weren't going to beat North Texas regardless. But the season will look way different if we were to beat some of the games that we should have just won, especially considering what UTSA has shown in subsequent matches later in the year. It's just frustrating thinking about some of those earlier games that season and thinking about what went wrong. So yeah, missed opportunities 100%. Where will we land in the bowl? I don't know. I think a lot will hinge on if we win this game against Army. I don't know where they're projecting us. Let me see if I can do a quick search to see what the projections are for UTSA. There's nothing that is top of mind, but probably one of the bowls, something like some of the bowls that we've been in the past, honestly. The not so great ones on a bad day, probably. Max says, yo, what's up, Darian? Very interesting and concerning stuff with the NIL efforts I'm hearing from you. I'm curious, what is the point of hiring that Playfly guy if we're still having these issues? That's interesting you bring that up. So, yeah, I mean, I think they have a tough job. That's what it comes down to me. It is tough for them to find avenues to exercise all the ways they can to generate money for the players. I think I talked to him last week, by the way. He's all right. He's all right. He's trying. He's trying. But I'll just give you a little insight on that conversation. And I think I talked a little bit about this last week, but my takeaway from that was they are in the mode to try to scratch and fight for any penny. So they have to exercise all avenues they can, even very small ones. So the deals or the type of things we were discussing were very small scale things, very, very small scale things. And to me, that's kind of telling, because if you were having success with the whales around the city, I don't know how much time you'd spend on talking to some folks about some of these more smaller type deals, you know? I did share some of this last week. I want to help. I will help. They want me to help through this channel, to be quite frank. And I will do that. But to me, it's more of a conduit through me to you guys. And I get why they do that, right? Because they say, hey, well, you have people who come and watch your show every week. You know, we could put some of these things on the table and maybe this piques people interest. Cool, right? But like, there's only a few other, I mean, to my knowledge, there's only a few other UTSA podcasts out there that have followings, good followings, I would say. And I wouldn't even say I have a good following, if I'm being honest. I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to grow it. That's why I need you guys to like the video. But anyway, whenever I see those types of things in my mind, I'm like, yeah, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. But there are some low hanging fruits. That's one of the things, that I think is very interesting. There's some low hanging fruit that I know that they are not taking advantage of because they are not approaching people properly. There are still people who, based on the folks I talked to over the last 2 to 3 weeks, they're leaving hundreds of thousands on the table, or just more direct support. Even myself, like I donate to UTSA. I donate to UTSA like in pockets, random. I've done an NIL deal here or there. I've done a few things. Um, but I don't get approached for some of this stuff much. Um, I was really frustrated with them whenever I tried to do something a little bit more um, significant, and I was basically told, "Let me go check on this, this, or that." So I just worked directly with a player to get it to do a deal way back earlier this year. And I'm just, those sorts of things. If that's happening with me, and I'm talking to a lot of these folks, right? If that's happening to me, someone who does a show every week that people can come, watch. A lot of those folks watch. If and like I said, I'm not even speaking from the people I've talked to. I'm speaking from my own experience. If I had trouble giving or giving in this kind of way, I can see why people are frustrated that continue to say, "Oh, they have too much red tape," or it wasn't very clear. It wasn't very clear that on how I could work with this player or not work with this player, and like the conversation didn't go well, so we had to use our bullet. We had to like shift our marketing strategy because trying to work with UTSA was just a little too cumbersome at the time. I mean, yeah, that's the sort of things that's happening. And I can just be I'll be honest with you. I was kind of upset at that whole situation, at how that whole thing happened. And what's funny is like nobody reached back out to me to say, "Hey, like let me follow up on this like open loop that was out there." There was not a follow up or anything. So I don't know. I mean, they obviously got to improve in some of this stuff if UTSA wants to have a chance at competing for titles in football. Also, is Dr. Campos starting to get on the hot seat too? She has nailed the hirings of our coaches, but it is concerning that our AD hasn't made partnerships with San Antonio businesses. I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. Like, it just depends on who you ask. If you add, there are some people who are very close to the situation say she's been on a hot seat for years. Um, and that's a fact. There are some people who've wanted her out. I know there was a time where that was close. What was it? A couple years back, that was pretty close. That almost happened, from what I've been told. But yeah, I mean, this is the interesting thing about Campos, and none of this stuff is personal. I don't like. She was very friendly when she came on the show. Well, she was nice, so on and so forth. I hear she has a bulldog mentality though. She can be rough from what I hear. But anyway, I think depending on who you ask, that seat's been warm for a long time. And whenever you talk about her, people are very, very big on the hires, and she's done a phenomenal job at that. And she's definitely gonna let you know that she's done a phenomenal job at that, and she deserves a boatload of credit. But as I've said before, things have to evolve. So I don't really care about the personal relationships. I care about what the results say. And the fact of the matter is, like, yes, UTSA has done a very good job at competing under resourced. Imagine what they'd be able to do with resources. That's where we are. We're not getting those resources, or it doesn't appear to be that we're getting these resources, because guess who's back on this campaign trail? Coach Traylor. He's fundraising now. Every time he gets a camera in front of him, he's back. He's back. You know, so it you know it's it's tricky. It's tricky talking about her. Um, I I don't know how much she's involved in some of these partnerships, but like I said, I know for a fact there are a couple business owners that I've talked to personally that they said one or two things: either they haven't been approached after trying to reach somebody, And another one was they had they convinced their business or whatever to allocate marketing budget to invest into UTSA. UTSA took too long and they had to go elsewhere. Unfortunate. Carnivore Trucker says, as much as I think NIL is needed, it hurt UTSA more than it helped. Before we grab players looking to start and show their worth, I don't think we're getting as many as before. I could be wrong. As much as NIL is needed, it hurt UTSA more than it helped. How? Before we grab players looking to start and show their worth, I don't think we're getting as many as before. I could be wrong. I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I feel like I feel like some of the advantages that we held before in terms of recruiting, I also think other folks around us are doing a better job at recruiting their own people. Some of these P4s are doing a better job at recruiting their own rosters also. So there's just not as many people available to come to UTSA that are at top level talent. I definitely think we've seen that last year, and we'll probably see that more this year. But like the fact of the matter is, everybody's playing this NIL game because this is the new era, and we have to compete. We can't lag, or the results are going to start showing that. That's just that simple. At some point, Coach Traylor's not going to be able to outcoach and still drag us to a positive season, even though our team and coordinators and whatever didn't meet some of the levels that he probably thought they would. You know, is this just a waiting game now for our athletics budget post merger? I don't know how much the merger is going to like. I'm not even trying to be funny. How's the merger going to help? Is it going to like it might give us more revenue or something to like do maybe to commit the rev share, which if it helps in that way, great. But like, yeah, I guess I'm not informed enough on like how beneficial the UTSA the merger is going to be as it relates to athletics. I'd have to see more information about that. They aren't even having the money to do. They aren't even having the money they do have. Well, to be honest, I don't know why that's confusing me. Sorry. Well, this season was straight exhausting at times, but it could have been worse, I suppose. I hear a lot of more people believing no significant changes will occur within this team. This should be concerning. Absolutely. It's one of the things that I'm most concerned about, if I'm being real. Like, we're gonna run back the same squad. I mean, not the same squad, but like the nucleus is probably gonna be similar. Um, the coordinators are probably gonna not change. Um, you just gotta get behind them, I guess. Did our athletic budget go up with the merger, or is there a way that Amy can reallocate funds that the way athletics can stay competitive? All right, so I was actually looking at UTSA's operating budget. What was this on Monday? And if you look at the athletic, so for 2025, we actually had slightly less athletics operating, or maybe it's pretty much flat. It's pretty much the same. Based on what they published, UTSA had, I wonder if I could find it and pull it up real quick. But UTSA's athletics operating budget was like 14 million or something like that. Let me see. And that's for like the whole thing, right? So like I'm not gonna be able to find it, am I? Let's see. I was definitely just looking this up or looking through UTSA's operating budgets. And of course, I'm not going to be able to find it when I want to find it. I don't know why I didn't think to have this ready to talk about. I'll find it and I'll give you some more details on it later in one of the subsequent what's the names. But if you look at like the athletics operating budget for UTSA was around 14 million. If you compare that to some of the other schools, um, the one I found that was interesting was like ECU, no, James Madison. So they did the athletics fee increase for their uh, student body. So they're getting like 4 times the amount per year that UT. I mean, maybe even more than that from raising the prices. But like the problem, so they're getting like $53 million or something like that a year from student athlete fee, or I'm sorry, from like regular student, yeah, the student athlete fee that UTSA's folks voted on. They're getting a lot of money, but they can't use it in rev share, which is interesting. They can like use it for like facilities, resources, all that stuff. They can't actually use it for rev share. So they're having to find and be creative on how they're still doing money. But UTSA's um athletic operating budget was flat, did not go up from 2024 to 2025, at least based on what I've seen. Also, shameless plug, if y'all are in need of vodka for the holidays, make sure y'all go grab a bottle of Enchanted Rock Texas vodka. Apparently, they're a proud sponsor of UTSA Athletics. Shout out to Zeke here for the plug. It's Rap says people are maxed out on donations. The economy is about to crash. UTSA needs to change how they bring money in. That's not through normal people. AD president got to put in work on bringing in Wells. I mean, you're correct about that, but I actually would challenge that in general because other schools are doing it. You know, other schools are doing it. Other schools are motivating normal people in this economy to pump out money. You know, um, and yes, you got to go in and bring Wells, but Wells are normal people too. They're in the same exact economy. So like going to get somebody with a ton of money, like they're going to Wells, so to speak, are going to adjust their financial plan and their personal finance strategy due to the economy too. At the end of the day, it's the same thing. They have to find a way to motivate the whales and normal people to donate money. And they also, in my opinion, and I'm not saying they don't do this, but I don't think they do it enough. They also they need to encourage more people to give their $20 a month, $30 a month, or whatever it is a month, and try to try to hit this from a quantity standpoint as well. Like obviously the quality would be the whales. You want to get this big mini Bob Wills as you can get, or April and Sears as you can get, or Pat Kleins as you can get, and all that type of stuff. You want to get as many as you can get of those types of things. You want to get those people. However, because we don't have the advantage of having a ton of those people available to UTSA, try to make have a specific campaign to target how many can we get 10,000 people to be donating $20 or something a month. You know, can we get thousands of people to do that? All this alumni you got, you can't go get them to give $20 a month, $10 a month. Like, how are we doing with those numbers? You know, um God dang, hearing your POV really frustrates me. You're supposed to prioritize your donors and thank them to the max extent. Like them leaving you hanging, making it difficult, fractures relationship. Absolutely, dude. It pissed me off. I'll be honest with you. I was hooting and hollering in here. Yeah, I was trying to give. Yeah, I was trying to do an NIL deal with a player. I ended up having to go through. I tried to go through the proper channels because everybody can't do this, right? This is what ticks me off. So I tried to do it through the proper channels. And I'm not saying I did anything like under the table or anything like that. I didn't do anything under the table. I did it like through the right channels. I did it the right way. But but like if you see here was my experience. I went to a person that I'm supposed to go to for this type of thing, and they said I'll get back to you, but never got back to me. I said, hey, I want to do this deal. I want to do it for this with this much money. Never got back to me. And I'm not saying it wasn't a whopping amount, right? It wasn't a crazy amount, but I was like, hey, like, I have some extra cash. Like, here, how about we do this? So because I did not hear anything, and it ticked me off because I was going to do it again. I was planning to do it multiple times, even throughout the season. But the whole thing frustrated me. I just ended up not doing it. And I've donated in a couple of other ways, but less money than I was going to donate. And the issue there was nobody got back to me. So I reached out to one of the coaches, and one of the coaches sort of advised me to do this and then get in direct contact with the player and all that. I had to go through one of the coaches to do that. And I'm like, well, everybody can't do that. You know, I have a relationship with this coach. So like I can go and reach out to a coach and say, yo, I'm trying to do a deal with one of your guys. Like, can you link us together? Like, how can we do this? I had to go through the coach to get that done. I tried to go through the people, you know, proper, and nothing. And I was just like, I'm not finna do this every time. Now it's awkward. Like, I'm not finna be texting this coach every single time. It's not his job to coordinate this in this way. It's just not. We're supposed to have people to do this, you know? And frustrating. But it is what it is. What I'm saying, like, whenever I hear people say it's kind of tough dealing with UTSA and in some of these regards, I know firsthand. Like, I'm not using that. That's my own experience. In my opinion, I don't know. I don't know that we are using the money we do have well enough. Yeah, I know. I agree. They're trying to do what they can. Robert Henry Jr. I hope he's back. I have an interesting I have an interesting take on the Robert Henry Jr. thing. Let me know what y'all think. I have no ideas. I haven't asked about this because he's like such a proper player. Um, First off, is he announced that he's not playing or something? But it's just interesting how he had that 25-yard like loss, and we haven't seen him much after that. Um, that's interesting to me. I don't think that running back coach play messes around, but and also Will Henderson has been great. Like, that's just interesting. Yeah, Rob Henry is sitting out the rest of the season. Okay. Oh, is he sitting? I don't know. I guess we'll see on the weekend. I'm not asking anybody anything. Not about this anyway. I hope we see him. UTSA needs to work on explaining how donating benefits the fan or the donor. Like, create ways where donating can isn't just giving money. Make a portion of a bar or restaurant's proceeds go to NIL. Yeah, I mean, that's the tricky part, right? Because some of it is just giving money so your team can be better. I mean, that part of it is just not going to go away. You know, like I the the deal I got was a shout out to people to go follow my page. Did nothing for me. I mean, I basically purchased a ad from a player or two. That's what I did. Um, yes, like, I didn't do that thinking I was going to get a huge follower growth off of that. You do that. I mean, you do that to support the team, and you get whatever you can. But it's basically what I'm saying is that's going to be lopsided, and you got to be comfortable with that. Like, that sort of thing is going to be lopsided. You're going to probably give a lot more than you're going to get back. So that's kind of the name of the game. No matter what, we need to keep Will Henderson and Devin McEwen. Yeah, I agree. If we do keep I want to see Devin McEwen with top receivers around him, bro. I think he'd be crazy with like. I just feel he's misused a little bit. He could be used a lot better than he is. But Will Henderson, I really hope we keep him. He's got some. Maybe you need to do a show about NIL, what we can and cannot do. Have listeners submit questions or suggestions, and have someone who is knowledgeable on the rules give feedback. Brainstorming. Nobody would show up to that. I don't think people would show up to that. That's why people get tired of that discussion. They get exhausted of that discussion really quick, and I understand it. It's why I've tried to like can it a little bit, because anytime I talk NIL, I see my viewer count drop. But I mean, it's sort of the talk of the town right now, so it's relevant. But I don't know how much of a stomach people have for it. I mean, there are things that like for example, there's a couple of ideas I have um to put my feelings aside. I want to do something community led where um you guys do something for free, and once I hit certain thresholds, I'll make a donation. I've done that a couple times. I did that with my follower count at one point. Um but and I've done giveaways here. Like I've done a lot of those types of things over the years. It's just tough to continue to do it, keep doing it, have a lot of energy. Some people don't like it because, like, what's funny about the question that I think Max said earlier is like a lot of what they do is they'll ask a platform like me to say, hey, like you need to do something to community build so we can get people involved in XYZ. And I'll say, well, yeah, but I have to be careful about doing some of that because you can lose trust in your audience. So like if people's like, oh, he's trying to engagement for him by saying everybody follow him so he can donate to this thing. People don't like those kind of things. I've tried it. Um, it's just, yeah, it's I don't know. It's a tricky thing, man. I donate NIL and to RAF. No one really reaches out to me anymore. Yeah. Um, it's good feedback. Flying over your area, throwing a peace sign out my window, flying from TG from DWF back to SA. Shout out to Zach, man. Shout out to Zach. We got a pilot in here. That's lit, bro. Shout out to Zach. I'm starring that. That's the comment of the day. My boy's flying, chunking the deuce back. Like right now, as I'm watching live, I'm probably flying over you. That's lit. That's tight, bro. To the average fan, raising money shouldn't be so hard, but there seems to be so many rules and red tape that handcuffs us. Yeah, I agree. That's exactly what it is. Well, I don't know if that's exactly what it is, but like it just always seems so quiet around that front. And these campaigns that come out that are like, I don't know, generated by freaking they're just lifeless. That's just what it is. It's lifeless to a what here's what I would say, like what I've learned about the San Antonio community by doing this show and like the people that interact here. If you don't give folks your authentic self and give people, it's why I I try to comment and I try to respond to DMs. I try to get to every question you guys ask me here because what I've learned about San Antonio, I mean, it's just in general, though. I think it's just anybody, but you guys and just people in general, you have to connect with them on a personal level. You have to connect and give your time. You have to show empathy and resonate with people on that level. And if you're treating this type of thing as like, oh, this is just my job I'm going to do, and you're not like all the way in going for this type of thing, you're not going to resonate with the San Antonio people, bro. You're just not. You're just not. Um, yeah, you're just not. Friends that were donating 20 canceled after the slow start. I know. I know. Yeah, there's a lot of people I know who canceled after the slow start as well. Can't keep it coming if you don't win your offseason games. Need a good 4-game start to keep those 20s coming. Trailer can't win early though. You're right. I do know a lot of people who stopped donating their $20 too. Um, yeah. I just wish the administration would hype me up, try and give me more instead of myself trying to excite myself to give more when waves happen. Yeah, bro, I agree. I agree. I like the, I don't want to sound arrogant, so I'm gonna it's not even me trying to sound arrogant or anything like that, but like it is a very difficult job. I am aware of that, but I still go back to like I can be very process oriented in terms of like what I do for my actual job. Um, and it has been very successful, or it's been successful for me anyway. But like you have to have a solid foundation and a solid process that you can iterate over time, that evolves over the time, that changes, that's constantly looking at data, reacting to the data, putting together remediation plans, figuring out what the actual problem is, and then going through and learning how to connect with people, how to connect with your stakeholders, so on and so forth. Um, I just don't know if we're doing that. I just don't. I question if we are. I question if we are based on everything I hear. Is it known that is it known if that 60 million from the sale of the Institute of Texans culture can go to funding athletics? And does anyone know if UTSA is still trying to sell that Park West land? I have no idea on both. Or if they found a buyer, I have no idea on both. I say this jokingly: random fundraising idea from the '90s, UTSA players telethon. Why not? I bet you get some people. Why not? Honestly, why not? Why not? Darian made that show last year, and we all had good suggestions, but they fell on deaf ears. So they didn't. So yes, you're right about this, Carnivore. I actually did do this. So it didn't fall on deaf ears. I got that stuff to all those people. Like no BS. That show that I did, I got that to those people. I don't know how they actioned it. I'm not saying they didn't action it at all, but I don't know what their strategy was after that. No idea. One of the things I did see after that though was they picked up in terms of interacting with people on Twitter. That's all I saw though. They didn't come back and tell me, "Hey, we're going to try this or that." They're no, not that they have to, but it actually didn't fall on deaf ears. They just probably heard it and didn't give a crap. Maybe because it was coming from me, which I wouldn't be surprised at this point. Never thought Trailer ever liked Henry, to be honest. He only got the first because three backs left, even though he was always better than all three. Bet Trailer was punching the air when Henry was the number one running back in the nation. I just think he wasn't as good as some of those other guys through the tackles. He would take a lot of chances. He would hit you home runs sometimes, but he would get stopped at the line of scrimmage a lot of times where he could have got 4 because he was looking to hit the home run. So I don't think he was punching air whenever he was. I don't think he cares. I think he's happy. I mean, that dude did a lot for keeping UTSA in games. I don't think he was punching air when he was number one in the nation, but yeah, I would donate $50 to see Darian cover Devin McEwen with W if Darian gets a pick six. Definitely not going to get a pick six. Maybe some years ago, back in my heyday, I'd be able to go out there and put up a good effort. But yeah, he burned me today. But yeah, if you guys do it for $50, I'd do it too. Also, in response to Mike's post about show for NIL do's, don'ts, and ideas, I would definitely attend. I really wonder how we, as regular fans, can influence businesses to donate to NIL and RAF. I think we can do some of these things. Here's the interesting part. Like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have flirted with some of the ideas of like using my platform to generate or to at least help generate funds to like donate to NIL or whatever. And then like sort of the idea I was bouncing around is like, okay, once we get to a certain threshold, then we all here decide which player we're gonna do a deal with. do an NIL deal with, and thinking like, you know what, maybe what they can do is pay, a good amount a month to one player. So this show has a player, or this show is basically saying, hey, we're gonna put together this much money per year, and we're going to like put it toward UTSA. But like, I don't know if I'm the right person to do that, to be honest. Um, I would like to do something to help, but like I said, I don't really I don't know what they want. I don't know what they want. When I talk to them, it's very, very they are vague about their plans, about what they're thinking, for the most part. So yeah. I will also jump in on Bat Boy's bet. Y'all want to see me get cooked or what? Y'all, is that what it is? Y'all want to see me get cooked? Because that's what happened. That's what happened. Yeah, I am 30, 40 pounds heavier than I was during my playing days. Oh man. Let's see. What some people don't realize is how much better our record would be if we if we had a cupcake OOC schedules. Probably. Probably. Um the thing is I don't see any football players promoting anything. Aren't they supposed to are they supposed to do those things for NIL? I mean, they do promote certain things. I mean, listen, what's crazy, it's rap, is they're probably not getting paid, bro. It's like they're probably not getting enough money for you to recognize that they're promoting somebody or promoting a brand. That's what that really is. I saw some baseball and soccer player come out with an ad, but that's about it. Yeah, I have seen some of them lately for sure. Bat Floyd, bet please. Everybody wants to see me get cooked. I haven't seen any running back, quarterback, D line, O line, nothing for football when it comes to fulfilling the NIL deal. No, they no. So they do. But it's done in different ways. Like that's sort of the thing. They do things in different ways. I've seen some really cheap commercials. I've seen some bad commercials, some good commercials, some tweet shout outs. Like I said, I did one with them too, before the season anyway. And I got a advertising post from them. So yeah, it's just probably not seeing a lot because there's probably not a ton going around. That's really, really what it is. Anyway, I'm rocking out. I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. I will not be able to do a post game show the day of the game because I think I will be traveling in. I will be traveling. I'm traveling for the holidays, so I will be traveling in that day, and I'm probably going to be tired. So let's see, Saturday 2:30. Y'all probably be getting home around that time. And from being on the road, I don't know if I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, peace out, y'all. Eat some good turkey. Be safe out there. Peace.